Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt! The Dork Lords. We're here today talking about the final two episodes of the first season of the Netflix sci-fi series Three Body Problem. The episode's entitled Only Advance and Wall Facer. We open episode 7 with Will pointing out his recently purchased star in the night sky to Saul. Will says he spent $19.5 million on the star and gifted it to Jin. He makes Saul promise to never tell Jin who sent her the star. He then collapses, requiring a trip to the hospital. We end episode 8 with Clarence taking Jin and Saul out to a swamp to see a horde of cicadas. It's quite relevant considering we're about to get a massive cicada influx this summer. The point of that outing, I believe, is to say, hey, Santi call us bugs, but that's actually a compliment, because look how these bugs thrive despite our best efforts to wipe them out. So if we're the cicadas in this scenario, we're doing great. Then the cicadas swarm and kill them all, and it's a brutal ending. It's terrible. No, they don't do that. But this ending strongly suggests that they'll be heading to season 2, covering book 2, The Dark Forest. There is no post-credit sequence. All that said, Paul.
Yes.
What'd you think of episodes 7 and 8?
So happy that season's over, man. I mean,
Oh.
you know.
All right, you had a problem with Three Body Problem. That's what you're saying.
God, that show. Jeez, man. I went back down to 6 because I feel like there was a lot more that I was annoyed by.
Okay.
In fact, it makes me, the whole first season, I want to give it a 5 because it's just like, oh my God. Jeez, please.
All right,
okay, so you have you think like, okay, a lot of the time when people are like, oh, aliens invading or whatever, and the scientific people are like, look here, it's a long way to go to get to a star. What kind of thing do you think? It's hard. So it's like, okay, fine, they're traveling close to the speed of light for 400 years, and okay, fine, and the reason why they're doing that is because their planet's so screwed up. Okay, they're able to evolve and get technology that's more advanced than us under even more difficult situations, and then they get on spaceships to come and invade. I was like, that's not smart. That's dumb. That's dumb.
Now I'll say this, Paul. We had some commenters postulate that maybe alien invasion stories just aren't your thing. That maybe, that you're never going to appreciate an alien.
I feel like maybe
story.
I've mentioned this other alien invasion story that I would highly recommend everybody watch instead of this, which is Starship Troopers. It's like, let's recognize the jingoistic attitude that humans would take if they were going to be invaded by aliens. It's like every war that we've had, we've tried to say that the people that we're fighting are not human. Okay, so that's, it's like if you're going to be killing people and everything, you don't want to
dehumanize the enemy.
Yeah, that's what. So it's
You're
like,
bugs.
This is great. Yeah, so they all became like Nazis, but they because they were fighting bugs and they were looking heroic and everything. It was hilarious because it's like, see, this is the problems with war. It's not great that everybody's getting killed, and they're doing all these terrible things to the bugs. No, that's not good. So, there's some humor, yes, but we haven't seen it yet. Maybe in the second and third season, we're going to see these aliens. They're not to the level where they would actually be understandable as thinking entities.
I was a little less than thrilled about this finale as well. I do feel like maybe the best part of these final two episodes, and maybe the best part of season 1 generally, turned out to be, in my opinion, Will and Saul's friendship. Their relationship, while Will is dying essentially, but he's on the beach. Will is with him at his deathbed. They crack jokes. Saul is with Will to the end. And I appreciated those scenes because they weren't all just like, let's wallow in the fact that you're dying. They were like two friends who realized that that Will's time is coming to an end, and I liked the honesty of that relationship. So that, I mean, which is like the most un-sci-fi thing about the whole show. It's
no,
just like,
some of the Jovan Adepo playing Saul, I think, did a great job, and
Will Downing.
Yeah, Will Downing was fine too, but oh my God, I mean, while I like those actors, it's like they set this guy up as some sort of saint in fact that he's dying and everything. So he doesn't even feel like a real person. The fact that he's, given up on Jin and again tries to get with her and everything. And so it just becomes the ultimate sucker to get sent to outer space, I mean, yeah, we've read about what happens, what's coming, and I guess it's still their choice of whether or not they're going to do it, I guess. But
in the book,
but
he does survive. He is actually reconstituted by the Santee, even though he went off course and all that. Yeah.
And then what? I guess that's part of what foils them. Oh, they were too proud to put them back together. Anyway.
So I'm just saying, something I liked was the Saul-Will relationship. I'll say that. The Jin-Will relationship I thought was a little odd. Well, first of all, okay, so the show spent several episodes telling us, I think, implying heavily that Raj was the wrong person for Jin. He's not a scientist. He's more pragmatic when accepting casualties of war. He can't open a window. But damn it, if I didn't side with Raj in the finale, I felt Jin was, for lack of a better term, very bitchy towards him.
She's just not that into him.
I lost some respect for Jin. Like, he happily is making room for her in the seat next to him on the plane. Sure. She ghosts him. Yep. She closes herself in his private room. Yep. And when he justifiably asks, like, hey, what's wrong? She says, like, I can't deal with this right now. And I'm not saying her actions are unbelievable. I mean, I could imagine somebody actually, acting that way. I just thought her character, the one we've met up to this point, would have treated the breakup, which is what it was, with more tact. She was just really, really cruel in a lot of ways to Raj. And, I mean, I guess now she realizes that she's in love with Will. And so Raj points out, hey, Will's dead. And she's like, no, his brain's going into space, so there's still a chance. There's still a chance for us.
But here's the thing, though. That's nice of you to allow that maybe she loves him. She could still feel incredibly guilty about the fact that, he loved her all this time, and then he went to do this thing for her, even though she initially was saying, we're going to tell him he can't do it. No, he won't do it. But then there's no other human who could possibly do it. No one else is dying on the planet.
No one is dying. No smart person is dying.
No,
anywhere in the world.
He's the only smart person that's dying.
Yeah,
so
I just happen to know a smart person who's dying, so...
and the plan isn't like, okay, let's make some machine that your brain comes out of it. No, it relies on the aliens to help you. It's like, it's like, what the heck?
I mean, there, as I mentioned to you before we started chatting here, it's creative, Paul.
Yeah.
It's creative.
Yeah.
There's some creative choices. But I'll just, sending Will's brain to space, hoping that the Santee, who, by the way, the Santee have been monitoring all communications, so they know that the reason Will's brain's being sent into space is to spy on them.
Yes.
Okay. So, but you're still hoping that even with that knowledge, the Santee are going to find Will's brain, reconnect it with their tech, so that he can spy on them while they're trying to learn about humanity from him.
Yeah.
It sounds cartoonishly absurd.
Yeah.
It is a monumentally stupid waste of time plan that only works in a book. I mean, right? I mean, come on now. Why would you invest? Obviously, they use nuclear bombs. There's maybe billions of dollars. I don't know. At least several million dollars went into that plan.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
And they took such pride in having all these scientists say, that's crazy, that's not going to work. And it's like, oh, here's the guy, Thomas Wade, who's, he's the rich guy who's got, who's arrogant and all that. Well, that's what we're going to do. It's like this.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I tend to root for that guy in like an action movie. There'll be the guy who's actually the voice of reason. Where the heroes will be like, look, we've got a crazy plan. It's only 1 in a million, but I think we should try it. And then there'll be somebody who's kind of the stick in the mud who's like, look, I really don't think that's going to work. And they're both like, shut up! And then they go and do the plan, and it, of course, works because it's a movie. Yeah. But if it was in real life, you'd be like, that guy is actually the smart one of the group who's pointed out that this plan is stupid. That plan is stupid.
Yeah,
that is a dumb plan.
Now I feel like I should acknowledge the fact that it was something I was watching the other day, a musical, Schmigadoon, and people start bursting into song, and this one character says, I hate this, so unrealistic. People just don't burst into song, and his wife says, oh yeah, like the realistic guy who calls a hammer to him and it flies to him whenever he wants. It's like, well, look, that Thor is the god of thunder or whatever. And it's like, yes. So I mean, as someone who reads comics, there's so many times when I have to explain the events in comics, and as I do so, I have to laugh because it's such moronic crap. And so for all of you who've bought into this, and it's like, yeah, it's creative,
it's creative. It is creative. I had not seen that plot device before. There you go.
So there you go. So yeah, so I sympathize.
I mean, as long as we're talking about creative plans, we might as well bring up the other big development in these 2 episodes, the Wall Facer project. There's one of the last episodes entitled Wall Facer. So Saul is one of 3 people in the world tasked with coming up with a plan to defeat the Santi. But he'll have to keep the plan to himself or the Santi will discover it.
Yeah.
Now I,
in
my limited intelligence, do not have enough imagination, apparently, to see how that plan could possibly work.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, it's a plan I would suggest for humanity if I was a Santi spy.
Yeah.
If I wanted humanity to fail. Come up with a plan. Now, don't activate it right away, maybe for several years. Don't tell anyone. Don't write it down.
Yeah.
Make no obvious steps to complete the plan. And hopefully, when you finally announce the plan so that we can implement it, assuming it's going to take more than one person to implement this amazing plan, it'll be too late for the Santi to react. It's just so crazy, it just might work.
Yeah, see, that's what Yi should have told Tatiana when she came to kill her. It should have been like, look, I just, fooled Saul into, not buying into the crazy plan. I can do so much more.
I can do, right. They're going to try this a plan that can't work, Paul. That I don't even understand why. So, like, if you were in a room and you're like, guys, let's brainstorm ways we can beat the Santi. And there was somebody who's like, why don't we have a guy who comes up with a plan in his head and doesn't tell anyone, and then he has no real experience at defeating aliens or anything, but he'll just come up with a plan that hopefully will be good. There's no way to check it. There's no way to do anything. There's no way to activate it. And just hopefully, I don't know, hopefully it's a one-guy plan and he flips a coin one day and it kills the Santi. So, how about that? Get out! Why are you here? Why? Give us our sandwiches and get out. Anyway, I don't understand how that plan works.
See, so of course it doesn't work. You chose the sandwich guy, not the physicist.
That's right. Okay, great point. The physicist.
Well,
so great point.
Who has a lot of experience with having sex with women, and hanging out with smart, cancer patients. He's got all this experience.
Well, then, great point, though, too. So there's 3 people. There's, like, a military guy, there's, like, a counterterrorism person, and then there's Saul. Yeah. So let's assume for a second, military guy's got, I've got a good plan. I think I can come up with an idea. Okay, but he can't talk about it with the other 2? So what if his plan is like completely grates against whatever plan Saul comes up again with. Like, it's like, oh, that's actually the antithesis of my plan. We should have communicated. Too bad we can't. I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't understand how in a vacuum one person could just, well, in my head, I came up with a great plan. Hope it works somehow.
Yep. Well, yeah, that's probably the thing where it's like, oh, we found a way or some BS way that we haven't, that you're not creative enough, Matt.
Yeah, I am not creative enough to figure out how that would work.
No.
I mean, like, I'll throw this out too. Okay, so he gets shot.
Yes.
Look, he has the bulletproof clothes on. And then the autonomous cars are hacked by the Santee and try to run him over and kill his girlfriend. Okay. So if the Santee can control self-driving cars, seemingly all machines, they control like a particle accelerator. They can make people like Wade. There's a scene there where they make him see an illusion of his own death.
Yeah.
And they're like, we make you see whatever we want you to see. There's a cult-like following of murderous humans who apparently will do what they want. How long could those wall facers stay alive? There's going to be some turnover in that position. I mean, come on now.
Hey,
you would
Wong,
measure your lifespan in days.
Wong has your back. As long as you don't try to fight him and tell him not to save you, then he'll save you. So that was his major mistake.
I mean, the bulletproof clothes... You pointed out the bulletproof clothes wouldn't have saved him from a car.
No, it wouldn't have.
So it's like we have a very specific thing we'll protect you against. Somebody shooting at your torso. All right,
and they should get him a hat. Also, that's also bulletproof. Because the next guy's gonna be like, why didn't that guy shoot his head?
That was great though. Actually, the assassin's like, I should have shot you in the head. I'm like, yep, well done, sir.
It's like, good thing, everybody will learn from my example.
Right. He's wearing bulletproof clothes, everyone. I don't know. I guess with my lack of creativity, if I were to, let's say I'm in charge, like I have to come up with a plan. You are in the room. Come up with a plan. My plan would be, here's what I would suggest anyway. All right. Scrap the stupid wall facers. I don't get it. I don't see how that works. If you want to go off and think your own thoughts, so be it. But we're not going to... Well, anyway, there's not a wall facers plan. I would spend the next 400 years figuring out a way for humanity to live in space. Like Battlestar Galactica style.
Sure.
Santee want the planet. Yep. They don't really care about us. They want to kill us so they can take the planet. Fine. Yep. You win. In 400 years, you get Earth. You can even let them know that. Hey, guys, we're going to just go elsewhere. If you just let us go elsewhere, we'll go elsewhere. We'll figure this out. In fact, hey, if some of your tech could help us go elsewhere, we'll use it and go elsewhere. Thank you. Goodbye. And then figure out. I get it. It's hard, but you got 400 years to figure it out. And at least that way you're not like, we'll probably all die. And the Santee will kill us all and enslave the rest. Like, we'll just go live in space. Fine. You win. I don't know. Like, that would be my instead of the wall facer plan. Just I honestly don't see how that works at all. Much like brain in space.
Yeah. No. Or most of the time I'm sleeping. But then they wake me up every weekend.
Oh, that's right. So that's the other thing they brought out was hibernation.
Yeah.
So Wade's going to wake up for 1 week a year. He'll watch Wimbledon. He'll fire some people.
Yeah.
He'll make sure everything's happening. But he wants to be around when the 400 years come up. And Santee know him. They come in and talk to him and show him his own dead corpse or whatever. And they're like, we're looking forward to meeting up with you, assuming your hibernation tech actually works.
Yeah. When they could have killed him right then. They could have killed him right. It's like,
which they suggest. They're like, hey, we could crash your plane.
We're like trying to keep this even. We don't want to win. It would be too embarrassing if we really destroyed you. That's why we put that guy's brain in a body, because it would just they can't ever beat us.
Even the suggestion, they're like, look, if your hibernation tech works, great, then we can meet you. But so what that means is they know about it, which obviously they do.
Well, they said we got plans for you, like you're supposed to, part of what you're doing plays into into our hands.
Yep.
Because it's like, that's the thing that's so annoying, that it has to be this impossible paranoia. It's justified because aliens are coming to destroy us in 400 years. So, okay, now every bit of paranoia we have is justified. That's what I hate. That's what I hate.
Okay, fair enough. So at the end, it's meant to be like, oh, the bad guys are in ascendancy. It's kind of almost an Empire Strikes Back kind of thing.
Yeah.
Will goes off course. The aliens are so powerful they can even come and talk to Wade and taunt him.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh wow, this isn't working out at all. And Saul's getting shot at, and like, oh god, I don't even know what I'm doing. And so like Clarence's remedy is to take him into a swamp to show them a bunch of bugs that have survived. But I'm like the problem, Jin is like, oh my god, I came up with a plan that was going to theoretically, in some small percentage way, save my true love, and it didn't work, and now he's drifting off into space. And Saul's like, the entire fate of the world rests on my shoulders, and I have no idea what I'm doing, and everyone's trying to kill me. Oh my god, this is terrible. And then the response is like, well, the bugs are doing all right. I mean, I don't think that solves why they're depressed. I don't think, the 400 years fight is one thing, yes, but the ultimate the reason that those two characters, Saul and Jin, are feeling terrible is I think a little deeper than that. But it's just funny. Anyway.
Apparently, if they get here, then I guess we'll have the life of bugs. Then it's like, oh, okay,
right, yeah, exactly.
They're walking around like humans, and we're just smack. Hopefully they've cast their Matt-like person for the third season when everything goes according to their plans.
Oh, right, because it will, obviously.
So you'll be like, that guy will be there and be like, what? How could it have worked? What?
Wade and company will point at me and be like, ha ha.
Yeah, exactly.
You were wrong.
Yeah.
See?
Yep.
Like, you guys were geniuses.
So you can't even respect them. You have to give them that goofy voice.
I gave him the Nelson Muntz.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Something that I think I didn't understand, and I don't know if the show got it wrong, or if I'm just again, maybe I'm not interpreting it correctly, but the timing of Jin's realization about Will confused me. So she's at his bedside. He declares, very passionately to her face, "I love you." That's the first time he's ever said that. It's a meaningful moment. And he even says, like, well, if you don't want me to go, I will not go. Yeah. She then leaves the hospital.
Yep, leaves the hospital.
Later, significantly later,
yep.
Wade tells her, hey, by the way, Will bought that star for you.
Yes.
And that makes her race back to the hospital.
Yes.
Too late.
Yep.
To express her feelings to Will before his brain is removed. So why did it take the star purchase for her to realize that Will loved her? Like, wasn't it enough for him to say to her face, I love you? Like, wouldn't that be the moment? Like, what? So why did he bought me a star?
What she didn't say at that moment was, maybe you love me, but not enough to get me a star. Like this other dude did.
How much, really?
Yeah, I don't know if you did.
I just think, story-wise, it would have made more sense for the star purchase realization to be the moment that she realizes he loved her. Like, somehow that translated to, that were his real feelings. But here, we see the payoff already. He gives her his true feelings.
Maybe she just thought...
Then you get the second beat, and then she's like, I have to return now
maybe
because
she just
something
thought,
has changed.
He's high.
I thought you pick one moment or the other to be the realization moment. And I thought instead they tried to do both. They were like, oh, look, he got a chance to say what he actually thought. And then she had to race back to the hospital because something had changed in their relationship, which I don't know had changed. Anyway, I thought they kind of dropped the ball on that one. Usually, as you know, I have to try to work at it to find a Tolkien connection to whatever we're talking about.
Yeah,
this time they made it easy. They name drop him. Oh yeah. So they reference his visits to the Eagle and Child pub with C.S. Lewis and the rest of the Oxford writers group known as the Inklings.
Right.
But notice how Will criticizes C.S. Lewis's writing.
Yes.
Can't badmouth one Professor Tolkien, of course. That would be so absurd. That'd be more absurd than a brain in space. But I think what the show is attempting to do there is draw a parallel between the Inklings, which is a group of intellectuals who met at Oxford,
Oh.
And our heroes who met under similar circumstances, I mean, they're known as the Oxford Five, so they are like, hey, we met at Oxford and we had this circle of folks that...
At first I thought you were going to say Inklings was some, Lord of the Rings group. It's like,
well, I mean,
hey,
we're talking Narnia and Lord of the Rings. But yeah. Other big development in here, Ye gets murdered by Tatiana. We don't see the murder, but it's heavily implied.
Oh, sure.
And I think the reason that she gets murdered is, I mean, the Santi order her murder, basically, right? So they Tatiana, go kill Ye. I think it's because of her Einstein joke to Saul.
Oh, okay.
I feel like the Santi are afraid of her ability to resist them. Like, she's a smart person.
Sure.
Who, if she decides that she's going to put herself in league with the humans, it should be dangerous. And she's ready to die for her part in the downfall of humanity. I think she feels guilty for that and for her daughter's suicide. And so I feel like she's kind of like, okay, I'm ready. Mm-hmm. Before she meets up with Saul to tell Saul the Einstein joke, we see her consulting two books. There's Game Theory and Fermi's Paradox. Mm. These are concepts that I think she's attempting to weave into the joke. So that Saul can eventually figure it out. Metaphor and such.
See, he's got it in his head. Can't. He's got it in his head, see? And now no one can get in there to figure it out.
That's right. They're terrible at fairy tales and jokes.
And lies.
And lies. So, Fermi's Paradox is essentially... Hey, given the size of the universe, there should be countless advanced extraterrestrial life forms. Right. Surely we'd have seen evidence of such by now. Sure. So why is the only evidence some drunk guy with a shaky cam? Yeah. And so there's a series of explanations for that paradox. Periodic extinction level events, societies destroying themselves, etc. But one of those theories is that it's the nature of advanced life forms to destroy other life forms for their resources or because they see them as a threat.
Sure.
And so I think that's the notion that Ye is trying to pass on to Saul. Don't play with God. God is the Santi. Better to hide than to announce yourself to a more advanced society. That said, it seems a little late for that advice since God's already on the way, but I think that's the idea, is she's trying to pass that along.
Maybe they're going to make a world-encompassing cloak. So there he goes, like, oh, Earth is gone. I don't know what you're talking about. There's just a moon
flip the eye around,
going around nothing.
You know what? That is not a terrible idea. They got 400 years.
Yeah, that's right.
They can put up some kind of light bending tech.
There you go.
Anyway, all right. That's Paul's idea. You're like, scrap the brain in space. We're going to use those resources to build mirrors.
Yeah.
We're gonna make the Earth disappear.
I would have thought, like, I could never work for these people. They wouldn't take my ideas. But now I see the kind of ideas they do take. So, let me in. Sign me up. Here's my idea. Get an invisibility cloak out of Harry Potter, but one that's big enough to cover the world. So there you go. That's just as good as his idea,
Yep. We're going to win the Triwizard Tournament.
Yep.
Then...
That's right.
The greatest minds in the world came up with those plans. Like, I don't know. It just feels like the odds of either of those working is really small. But anyway, season 2 probably turns it all around, shows us how indeed those things work. But there's, that's way in the future. I don't think they've even started filming a season 2 yet. So, those are my thoughts, Paul. Any,
all right. I think I pretty much. I mean, no, I could go on, but no, I don't. I
know we were a little.
You already have plenty.
We were a little harsh on
edit.
this, but
yeah,
I do. It's true. So we're gonna pick up next week with the the Dead Poet Society. All right, we're gonna pick up next week, not with the Dead Poet Society, but with the the Bed Bug Detectives. The Dead Boy Detectives. That's what we're going to be doing. So come on back for that, assuming I can say it.
Yeah.
Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
No problem.
And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.